great theme song. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty. With me is a man who once beat Doctor Strange in a game of Operation, Mr. Lou Celestino.
Hello. He did not stand a chance.
He did.
Shaky hands, yes.
You did not make the red movie.
No. I have steady hands. More or less. See what that?
That's Gene Wilder and Blazing Saddles.
Yes, more like that, yeah. He has the shaky hands, as you'll find out in the movie when it comes out.
Yes, come November. But our theme song. Are there... I know that you were the composer.
I am.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Were there other musicians involved in that we have shamefully not credited up to this point? There were not. It was all you?
That's all me.
The bass and the drums and everything, all you?
That's correct, sir.
You are a man of many talents.
Well, let's be clear. Drums are easy because with modern technology, you can just program them, which I do.
So I couldn't even play drums in rock bands.
I can do a 4/4 beat, and that's it.
Okay.
So I just programmed the drums using some awesome software that, as a musician, I have to have for demoing purposes. And
cool.
As you can see, this is half of my array of instruments in the office here.
Your guitar
including
setup
a bass
is not unlike Iron Man's Hall of Armors. There are many, and they are all different.
Yeah, and like I said, this is half of them.
Yes.
So the other half are kind of more of the stage guitars. These are more of the jammy guitars.
I have a couple friends with the guitar fetishes.
Yeah. You don't stop at one, buddy.
No.
There's a lot of great memes out there where, it's the picture of Ray Liotta from Goodfellas laughing hysterically, and it says, "I got another guitar," and she said, "Are you going to sell the other one?"
He's just laughing.
Yes, that's correct.
Here we are again, folks. Thank you for joining us. How was your week, sir?
Uneventful.
Nothing wrong with that. You know what? You need... when you're busy all the time, especially during the summertime, a lot of us tend to get really, really busy.
Yes.
You need that down week of nothing.
I like to be productive, so when I'm not, I feel crummy.
Yeah, but you got to learn to just, stop, take a breath.
Yeah.
And then move forward again.
Yeah, true. A lot of wrestling this week. I went to WWE SmackDown on Tuesday, and that was after watching Battleground on Sunday and then Raw on Monday. It was the first Raw post draft. They split the roster in half, basically. So half the guys go on Raw, half the guys go on SmackDown. Raw was fantastic. I can't believe I'm saying that. And then SmackDown that we attended, it was the first SmackDown post draft, and everything is new, and we're gonna do new things, and it was just happened to be here in good old Buffalo, New York.
Cool.
Not as good as Raw.
That's
I kind of know what show I'll be watching and which one I will not, which is a bummer.
What? Just quick question. What do those tickets go for nowadays?
Ooh, for nosebleeds, not nosebleeds, 300 levels up there, probably $30.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. Ringsides? Oh, boy. Open up that wallet, son.
What do ringsides go for?
North of 500, probably closer to $1,000. Yeah. My dream is to have ringside for a pay-per-view of some kind someday.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, for instance, I went to Toronto for a Chikara wrestling event. Chikara is a promotion out of, I believe, Philadelphia. Very comedic style, kid-friendly. No one's allowed to swear, but all the gimmicks are pretty goofy. But it's fun. It's a cool event. Tickets to that, we had ringside, and when I say ringside, dude, I'm talking. I was as close.
Other men sweat.
I was as close to the ring as I am to you right now.
Wow.
Yes, it was awesome.
Just to give the audience an idea, it's roughly 5 feet,
if that.
Yeah,
probably 3 to 4 feet away. In the first match to be fair, the room was it was at a community center, and the room was the size of my living room, essentially my back living room there. That was the size of the venue with the ring in the middle of it.
Oh dear.
And probably 100 people tops.
Yeah.
And in the first match, I had, ringside. And the gentleman, he's some kind of goblin. He goes
green goblin?
No, red and black, but he was
hobgoblin.
Action spilled to the outside, and he points at me and he says, "You, give me your chair." And I said, "Okay."
Yes, sir.
And then my chair was then used in a in a spot, as they call it.
Did you get it back?
It broke. And then the kind folks...
Did you get a replacement?
I did. The kind folks at Chikara Wrestling gave me a new chair, and they were very friendly. The Chikara guys, they were great.
Cool.
So basically, Saturday went to wrestling, Sunday watched wrestling, Monday watched wrestling, Tuesday watched wrestling, Wednesday watched wrestling because last was NXT in the Cruiserweight Classic, the CWC as we call it, was also Wednesday. So that was my whole week, and I need a breather from the wrestling.
See, it was still, though, an eventful weekend.
I guess it was. I tend to take it for granted, I suppose.
And an eventful weekend coming up. Big party at your place tomorrow.
Yes.
Excited about that.
Yes.
The annual summer barbecue.
It started off as a birthday party, and I guess it still kind of is. But, it's just a big excuse to get all my friends together and eat and drink and be merry.
Yeah, I do one of those every year, too. So
there you see. So for the out-of-towners, they might not understand. In Buffalo, you got to embrace those weekends in the summer because they are rare.
You take the weekends you can get.
Yep. Do stuff because we'll be shut in under snow and cold before you know it.
I think we're kind of in the cycle now where we're having really hot summers and mild winters, and that's usually about a 5-year cycle. We're about 3 years into that.
Don't forget a couple winters ago, man, when it didn't get above 20 degrees for about a good 60 days, and then the whole region ceiling, every ceiling in the region imploded, including mine.
Well, I feel bad for your ceiling, but I prefer winter to summer, so that's just me.
You're a masochist, sir. How was your week in the sweltering summer that you clearly don't enjoy?
I didn't say I didn't enjoy it. I just have a preference, and that is winter. It was another kind of blah week. When you have to work 2 extra hours a day, go in at 6 a.m, it kind of kills your motivation for doing anything for the rest of the week. I was supposed to go over to a friend's house the other night because they wanted to watch the extended cut of Batman vs. Superman with someone who'd never seen it before. And I kind of wanted to go because I was interested to see how you fix an overstuffed movie by adding 45 minutes to it. But by the time we got, I felt bad. I was like, guys, I can't. Because I sat home, I started, reading some of my comics from the previous day. I was falling asleep right there in the chair reading the comics.
I sympathize.
So, fortunately, next week, no overtime. So, I will probably be more...
Happy dance?
Happy dance.
Happy dance.
Doing the dance. So, I will probably be more opt for activities. So, hopefully, next week will be a more active week.
Cool.
So we got a great episode lined up. We hope we got some news to go over. We got a review, and we've got, of course, an episode of the awesome show Daredevil to go over.
The whole linchpin of the series. Here
the whole hook, as they call it, to get you in to listen to us.
Indeed.
And if you listen to us and enjoy the show and want to find out more about the show, want to find out more about us, or want to help us promote the show...
That's important.
Let me say that last part again. Help us promote the show. Mm-hmm. You can reach us on social media at the following sources. If you're on Twitter, you can follow us at Devils Do Pod. You can also follow myself at The Real Big Duty, DOODY. And if you want, you can like our Facebook page and retweet our Twitters and share our posts on Facebook at facebook.com/DevilsDoPod. Or, if you like, you can email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com. Normally, this is the point where we make the joke about not ever getting any emails, and it's dead art.
Wait.
We got an email!
Holy God.
Dude, we got an email.
I feel like this is the point we should have, wacky radio morning show sirens and buzzers going off.
Bong, bong.
Kind of like that. We
got an email from a listener by the name of Jay Gelsomino, and he sent in some questions.
Hey, I know that guy.
We both know that guy. He's a quality individual. We love him both. We love him very much, and we appreciate you listening to the show, Jay, and spreading the word about the show. By the way, please spread the word about the show. But he sends in some questions, and dear listeners, if you're out there, if you have some questions for us, whether it be regards to comics or, as you will see from this, as regards to anything else, we're more than happy to address them here on the air. Send us your questions at whatever source you like. Well, we will start with the questions directed to you, sir.
Oh, God.
There are 2 questions each for each of us.
Oh,
the first
pressure.
question here
I didn't know there'd be a test.
from Mr. J. Gelsomino is, Drew, do you have an Easy Pass tag?
No.
All right, good answer.
No, I don't.
All right.
I am not that frequent through toll. I avoid tolls if I can.
All right, good answer. Second question, Drew,
Yes.
do you like black licorice?
No. Hate it, actually.
You are probably in the majority of people who are under 65 years
Yeah,
old.
actually, yeah, it's definitely age delineated.
When it comes to that.
To be fair, I am slowly, mind you, being more tolerant of anise and, I guess anise and Thai basil, both of which are sort of black licorice-y flavors.
Okay.
But not black licorice. No, sir. Red rope or bust.
Gotcha. I will allow you to ask me the questions
Okay.
just for diversity.
These are important questions, actually.
Okay.
Hard hitting. Jay doesn't pull any punches.
Gotcha.
Carl, what is your favorite food?
I'm going to say probably disco fries.
I don't know what that is.
A little bit of
but okay.
explanation. Back when I was in college in the White Plains, Nyack area, I went to Nyack College. A bunch of us would always drive down to Poughkeepsie, never at a diner for something called disco fries, which is basically, it's not anything original. It's a plate of French fries on top of gravy with melted cheese on top of it.
That's called poutine.
I came to know it as disco fries, then that is how I shall forever call it.
The nation of Canada mourns for your incorrectness. All right, next question.
Well, they'll get over it.
They don't care. They're Canadian. Carl,
Yes.
can I borrow a Post-it note?
That's too personal a question. I don't want to answer it.
You don't have to. It's
All
your
right.
show. You don't have to.
Hey, listener questions. Look at that. We will be more than happy to answer your questions unless they're of an extremely personal nature like that last one was. Again, send us questions.
But don't be
We'll
afraid to
read them on
ask.
air. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask.
You miss
Ask
100% of the
away.
shots you don't take.
Yes. I believe someone said that once.
Someone did say that once.
Alrighty, awesome. Okay, we've got some news, so we're going to open up the case files. As we discussed in our last episode, we record on Friday nights, and last week Friday, San Diego Comic-Con was just starting.
Correct.
And we had Netflix just kind of went early, like a 16-year-old kid
Almost
on prom
prematurely, if you will.
night. Like a 16-year-old kid on prom night. Netflix was in, done, over. But it didn't stop there.
No.
No. So we got a lot of cool stuff from Comic-Con. At the time this episode comes out, the stuff's going to be about 2 weeks old, so we're not going to deep dive into all of it. We're just going to hit on the big ones. Probably the 2 biggest panels at Comic-Con are the Marvel Studios panel and the DC panel. We'll start with DC because they went first. I follow on Twitter and fingers crossed, hope to one day possibly get him on the show, Mr. Mark Bernardin.
That'd be fun.
You can hear him on the Kevin Smith Fat Man on Batman podcast. He's a well-versed gentleman, very knowledgeable, knows what he's talking about. And he tweeted that the overall sense of the Warner Brothers movie, the DC Warner Brothers movie panel, the overall feel of it was course correction.
Gee, I wonder why they would do that.
Which I think we can both agree is desperately needed when it comes to DC movies.
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
Man of Steel, while in my opinion not a bad movie, was not the movie we were hoping for tonally in pretty much every other sense. I think Henry Cavill is a really great Superman. I'd like to see him as Superman in a movie where he has more to do other than mope and pout.
And kill.
And kill. Yes. Sorry, we're sticklers for the whole...
and drop F-bombs. He called them a mother...
Well,
anyway.
you know, if someone was jacking with your mom like
I know.
that,
I digress.
you'd be a little pissed off, too. Batman vs. Superman was a hot mess. Just missed the characters completely. Just drab, depressing, and I've said this before. If you take the superhero aspect out of the films completely, it's still a bad movie. Like, it's just not a well assembled film.
Zack Snyder, my friend,
he
knows how to make pretty pictures.
It visually, fine. Yeah.
But in terms of constructing a film.
And this may be heresy to you because I know you hold the story very near and dear to your heart. I liked his Watchmen. I liked 300.
I like 300, but 300 is light on story, heavy on action, mission accomplished. Watchmen, here's where I will give credit to Zack Snyder.
Because you read Watchmen religiously once a year.
I do. Yes, I do. This is a thing that happens. I know Watchmen inside and out. I've probably forgotten more about Watchmen than most people will ever know. I'm not trying to be cocky. It's just that's the level of care that I put into reading Watchmen.
I'm that way with The Dark Knight Returns.
I will say that it is as good a Watchmen movie, or as faithful, I should say, a Watchmen movie that you could have ever hoped for. But as a result of that, it's also not the best movie that you could have hoped for. Which is a weird... He did the best that could have been done.
Okay.
Given the environment that movie has been in through its history of production over the years, it's a miracle we even got what we got. And the fact that we got something faithful, I'll take it.
I don't want to go too far off on a tangent with this.
Please.
Just a real quick question, because we've never actually discussed, like you and I, watching the film. What were your thoughts on the change to the ending? Personally, I felt it worked because the comic book ending, I don't think would have... It would have been kind of hokey on the screen.
It works. They didn't change it to something terrible. It works. But frankly, I am a stickler for authenticity. And
you wanted the big dead squid?
I wanted the big dead squid, but not just that. There's something detached about giant craters, whereas the ending of the comic was bodies in the street and grotesque... Yeah. From a purely visceral standpoint, I don't know. I think that would have had more of an impact as an ending. But the way they went about the change, I felt was it worked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't prefer it, but it did work, and I have no real problem with it.
All right, cool. So is the Warner Brothers panel? There were two things that were expected. One thing that was rumored. Two things that were expected, obviously, were Suicide Squad, because that comes out next week. And Wonder Woman, because they had already shown some footage on that on television special. Still the best superhero television theme song ever. Better
than Batman?
Yes.
Wow.
You just jam to it.
You can't. Oh, yeah, jams at the 70s, man. It was funkadelic.
Yeah. So we got some additional Suicide Squad stuff. The whole cast was there. They promoted that. I'm going to go see it.
You let me know about that.
Yeah.
I'm not excited at all.
I noticed that when it comes to films with characters that I haven't been following for a very long time.
But you have less invested.
Yeah. I don't have as much skin in the game, so I'm more open to it. There was obviously that happened. And then they dropped the Wonder Woman trailer on us. Wonder Woman looks friggin' awesome.
Looks pretty good.
It looks... Because I said the only thing that really got me excited from Batman vs. Superman was Wonder Woman, because they got Wonder Woman right. And this trailer looks solid, looks like they're carrying that on. Action looks good, character looks good, strong female role model character out there. It looked really solid. Obviously, the trailer's out there. You can find it any number of places. But I'm excited for Wonder Woman. I really think this film is going to... It's kind of like, how Marvel set their standard with Iron Man.
Maybe this will be the flag bearer kind of?
I'm hoping, because I want DC films to be good. Because if DC makes good films, then Marvel's not going to get lazy, because competition breeds quality.
Usually.
So I want Wonder Woman to be good. It looks like it's going to be good. What are your thoughts on it?
It looked good. I don't know. It looked better than Batman versus Superman. And not to, just because we're gonna talk about it in a second. I thought it was the best trailer that they showed at Comic-Con.
Okay. All right.
And I still don't know if Gal Gadot can act.
The best
but
DC trailer.
Yes, correct.
Sure.
Correct. But she looks the part. And the movie looks, as a movie, it looks intriguing and interesting. And the trailer made me go like, huh, I might go see that.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? Screw it. I will go see it.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, having seen her as the character in Batman v Superman, be it limited,
very limited,
she could definitely act. She had
a couple lines. Let's wait to see some scenes.
She's got a good grasp on the character.
We'll see.
All right. So next thing they did, which was a bit of a surprise, because we all knew this film was coming, but we didn't think that we thought maybe the cast was going to show up, wave, and then disappear.
They've done that before.
Yeah. They dropped a picture of the Justice League on us, which I think falls within the realm of expectations at a con. The full league assembled first official promo shot of the picture. I really don't like the Flash.
I hate the Flash costume. I'll say it. I don't care. I hate it. It looks terrible.
I don't like
terrible.
I don't like the fact that it's not all red.
Because the Flash, he should wear black, shouldn't he? I mean,
I don't like
he
the fact
does.
That it's armor.
When you think of fast, you think of armor.
Yeah. I mean
I'm with you here. I thought he looks terrible, abysmal.
Yeah, when you look at the costume, and I know you're not as much fan as I am, but when you look at the costume from the television series,
I don't like that one either. But it's better. It's better.
When they first unveiled it, you're like, oh, why is the symbol red and not white? Well, it's white now, so stop your complaining about that. But it looks like, yes, it's a slightly heavier material, but it still looks like something that
he can run
a character like that would use, not freaking battle armor.
Yeah, I'm not. Here's the reason why. I think the Flash's costume in the comics is one of the coolest costumes in comics.
Yeah, it's not.
It's super cool looking.
It's not a super complicated design.
No, that's why it's great.
Yeah, it's very base, and
so naturally they just overcomplicate the crap out of it for this Justice League. Okay, anyway, so you were saying
everyone else in the Justice League picture looked alright. Cyborg, this is the first Cyborg we saw. Cyborg looks fine.
Yeah.
That's a character who kind of doesn't have a solid design.
He's adaptable because he's machine.
Adaptable. I wasn't super crazy about Aquaman from kind of the waist up, the whole armor thing he was wearing. You know what I thought? I was hoping they would have used was, I thought they really nailed the design of the character in the Injustice fighting game. First one they came out with, because it wasn't just the...
You'd have to familiar. I haven't
classic,
seen it, but...
I'll show you a picture later.
Sure.
It wasn't just the classic green and orange. It was little things here, little things there. It made it look more kingly.
Yeah, the current incarnation isn't exactly regal.
Yeah, I'm okay with Jason Momoa. I think he's going to do
he'll be fine
job at it. But we saw the picture, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. We've seen all them before. And then they showed not really a trailer, but what's called a sizzle reel.
It's kind of a trailer.
It's kind of a trailer, but it's a little longer. And they showed it was pretty much an introduction, better than the one they did in the Batman vs Superman. That's for sure.
Well, because
it was an introduction to the characters we hadn't seen yet.
That, and it was also an introduction to the. Hey, look, we're course correcting our tone. We have 40% more jokes.
We're doing a trailer 70%. With the white stripes.
Yeah, more like 70%. Okay, so let's get this out of the way, because I just. All right.
Go ahead.
All right, look. I was not impressed in the slightest. Here's why. The Wonder Woman trailer, number one, I think set a bar. They're like, oh, look, pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this Justice League sizzle reel comes out. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, DC, Warner Brothers, has not earned a single benefit of the doubt when it comes to this stuff.
No.
So the criticism has been they're too dark, they're too dreary, and frankly, as you stated with Batman vs Superman, it's just a poorly constructed film. So they got problems.
Yeah.
Well, they clearly took some of that to heart, because now everyone's quippy and jokey, and hey, we're snappy dialogue. And now here's where the criticism is going to come in from me. You might think, well, that's what they're doing. What you wanted, isn't that what you wanted? Well, kinda, but like no one likes desperation. No one likes to, no one likes the reek of desperation. No one likes the desperate guy in the room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
no one likes the woman who sits outside your dorm room window staring at you.
No, and ladies don't like the guys that just come off desperate.
Yeah.
You're either cool and confident or you're not. And if you're not, you're probably going to be on the outside looking in. So, and this is going to tie into another. Okay, so for instance, Suicide Squad, right? The original trailer for that movie was like, I don't know, fairly stock.
Yeah, didn't really stand out or anything.
Someone in the Warner Brothers offices must have saw Guardians of the Galaxy at some point between that trailer and now, because now the whole ad campaign is, hey, Guardians of the Galaxy, we got funky music too from the 70s, and we're going to market it that way.
And the funny thing is that darker, more somber tone would actually work with Suicide Squad.
We haven't seen the movie. We don't know what it feels like as a movie, but I'm just saying from an advertising perspective, come on, man, I've seen this act before and it's not yours, it's someone else's.
Real quick question.
Yes.
Am I the only one who's noticed that the Orb, a Marvel character, is in the Suicide Squad movie?
Oh, the big eyeball guy. Yeah, I saw him in the yeah.
I see him every once in a while.
No one knows what we're talking about right now, but I'm with you. Okay, so that's number one. I already feel like Warner's is already being like, like they're like Principal McVicker in Beavis and Butthead. Like someone in the boardroom saw the returns from Batman vs Superman. He's just like, panic, everyone panic. What do we do? Well, in my humble opinion, what they've decided to do is just, okay, you know what? We tried it our way, didn't work. Just copy Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't say that as a Marvel fanboy. I say that as someone who has enjoyed what Marvel has done, and it's a proven winner. And now Warner Brothers is playing catch up. They tried doing 2 movies in their way.
Yeah.
Didn't work out quite to their expectations. I'm not saying they failed, but they're not critically received very well. Fans don't seem to love them the way Marvel is beloved.
Yeah.
And now they're in kind of scramble mode. So bringing this full circle to the Justice League sizzle reel, whatever trailer. And they're going for that Avengers snappy back and forth, and then I have a question. I'm raising my hand. Why is
in the front row?
Why is Barry Allen Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's
good point. I feel
Spider-Man.
I feel bad for Ezra Miller because as soon as I saw him up on the screen as a big fan of the television show, I'm like, you're not the Flash. You're not Grant Gustin. So that guy's got a big hurdle to overcome, and I mean, I hope he nails it. I hope he does well. The thing is, like, I don't want DC films to be just like Marvel films.
Neither do I. They should have their own kind of thing.
Exactly. I want them to feel like DC.
See, this is gonna this is gonna tie into what we're going to review in a moment. Although I'm not sure if we're gonna have time. Actually, I don't know.
We'll get it.
We'll get it. All right. I want DC to have their own tone.
Yeah.
Both in comics and in movies. And what they're doing in both right now, in my humble opinion, is wrong.
They're riding the ship in the comics.
Maybe now, but for 30 years now, it's been wrong. Since the mid-'80s, they've been chasing the wrong feel. And put it this way.
Yeah.
Put it this way. The flame has been on, and it boiled over when New 52 launched.
Yeah. Yeah. New 52 started out great and then went in the tank pretty quickly.
So, anyway, my point being...
That's a whole conversation for another episode.
Yeah. I'm with you. I want them to have their own feel, their own tone.
We want these movies to be good.
Right. Mythic and big, but not violent and dark. And I think you know what I'm saying?
Like you can do violence with mythic and big and still make it work.
You don't have to though. I don't want.
Well, I say violence in the sense of like action.
Oh, sure, but I don't. But I'm. They went grimdark. I don't want that. And I guess this might be a good segue, but maybe not.
Segue into the lighter side of things, which came in the Marvel panel.
Yeah.
Marvel gave us the goods as always. We got.
Well, hang on. They gave the people in San Diego the goods.
Yeah. They didn't.
I haven't
release
seen
a
anything.
lot. They didn't release a lot like they did last year. I don't understand why. At least DC gave us what they showed us.
Yes.
Marvel.
Props for that, Warner Brothers. Thank
Marvel
you.
released a new Doctor Strange trailer,
Looks
which
good.
was expected.
Yep, looks great.
With that will be coming out in November. Then we got the stuff that was shown from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is coming out next May.
I didn't see it,
They
but I
haven't
heard about
shown
it.
any of it. Yeah, they showed stuff. We've heard stories. Then they showed Thor
Ragnarok, yes.
They showed the Planet Hulk armor that apparently Hulk is going to wear. That I actually have seen pictures of.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for Thor Ragnarok. Did they show? I know they brought the cast out. Did they show any footage of Black Panther?
No.
Okay.
No, just cast.
Which is funny because then they went and showed us footage of Spider-Man Homecoming, which is further out in the release calendar than Black Panther is. Spider-Man Homecoming, everybody's saying the same thing. Feels like a John Hughes film.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's... I've never been crazy about the Vulture, but at the same time, Michael Keaton is apparently
Dude, look,
playing him.
it's Michael Keaton.
I know. Playing yet another Birdman.
Yes, but a villainous one this time.
Yeah.
Not then again, if you've seen Birdman, you could argue that the Birdman character was villainous as well in Birdman. But
Yeah. So, yeah, why can't we see the things?
I don't know. They did, and
I want to see the things.
I want to see the things too, man, really badly actually. But Kurt Russell.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, Kurt Russell is like the coolest guy in the world.
Kurt Russell is who I want to grow up to be.
It's too late for that, my friend.
Damn it.
Kurt Russell is a manly man. And he is playing Star-Lord's father in Guardians.
He's playing a character called Ego,
The Living Planet.
the living planet, who, as you cleared up to me, can shrink down to human form.
In the movie, apparently he can.
Okay.
Traditionally in the comics, no.
All right.
But again,
This is what we're talking about, folks. We're willing to give Marvel that benefit of the doubt.
They've
because
earned it.
Yeah, they've definitely earned it.
they cast Kurt Russell. I'm very okay with this.
They cast him as Star-Lord's father, and I was like, just play Jack Byrne.
I demand he
just
grow
play
a mustache.
Jack Byrne again.
As long as he's got a mustache, I'm all in. Because Kurt Russell can grow a
And
mustache.
Ego has a mustache.
Then we are off to the races here. Yes, sounds great.
Did you see, just a quick side note before we wrap up the news, they're doing a Escape from L.A. meets Big Trouble in Little China comic book.
Oh my gosh.
It's Snake Plissken and Jack Burton teaming up.
Well, I hope it's Escape from New York, not Escape from
Well,
LA.
yeah,
but
Escape
fair
from New
enough.
York.
Well, unfortunately, the
It's
sequel.
Russell on Russell.
That's like if Han Solo met Indiana Jones.
It's awesome.
That's
I can't wait for it.
I'm very okay with this.
So my question is, when is the Doc Holliday Captain Ron crossover?
Man.
Or the Overboard Captain Ron crossover? Hopefully soon.
There's no reason it can't happen. Let's make it happen.
Exactly. As I hit the microphone's hand. All
That's
right,
okay.
we're going to close up the case files.
Case files are closed.
Case files are
Sorry,
closed.
that was a good diversion there.
Yeah. Now we have a review for you.
Oh, boy.
My week was not 100% uneventful. Monday of this week, I went to the theater with my friend Nate, and we saw the premiere of the new DC animated movie based on the Alan Moore and Brian Boland classic, The Killing Joke. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of you who are not aware, The Killing Joke came out in 1986.
I think it's 88.
All right.
But I could be wrong.
Between in roughly
Late 80s.
Yeah, mid to late 80s. This is the quintessential Joker story. This is the story that addressed the character's origin for the first time, and it's held up as one of the all-time great comic book stories.
I don't know if I'd say held up, but it is well regarded.
In my opinion, it's held up. It's
Yeah.
it's easily in the top 5 Batman stories of all
March
time.
1988, by the way.
Okay. It's easily in the top 5 Batman stories of all time. You can probably make an argument of it being in the maybe top 20 comic stories of all time.
I would pump the brakes there, but
For another episode.
yeah, definitely.
So when they announced this movie, DC I would say up until the past couple of years, their animated movies have been on point. Their animated movies have been the quality of films that Marvel is putting out in live action. They did a 3-hour Dark Knight Returns animated film, and it was amazing. There was very little that was left out of that adaptation. So when they announced this, I had high hopes, though I was a little concerned because the book itself, The Killing Joke, is not a very long book. If you've read it before and you're not like fully digesting it, you can get through it in like 20 minutes easily.
Sure.
So there was that kind of concern, and then they announced that they are doing it as an R-rated film, which I was happy about because the content of The Killing Joke is very mature. I mean, I'm not talking like porn here or anything, but it's a mature story. So, and all this is coming along. They get Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill to voice Batman, Joker, who I'm sure we can both at least agree on this are the quintessential voices for those characters.
Absolutely.
When we read the comics, those are the voices we hear in our heads.
Yep, definitely.
About a week or so before Comic-Con, they announce about the additional material that's been put into it to extend the story. When I say additional material, I mean there's about a half an hour to 45-minute prologue before you actually get into the Killing Joke story itself.
I've heard nothing but bad things about that prologue. Let's just put it that way. I haven't seen this movie, so you can go ahead and tell me everything you want to know. But the things I do know about it, boy, oh boy, I'm not happy about.
The prologue focuses on Batgirl, and if you were to separate the prologue from The Killing Joke and say it is not part of The Killing Joke, it'd be really good. Because it's done by two of the driving forces behind the Batman animated series from the 90s.
One of them, not both of them.
Two of them. Alan Burnett was heavily involved in that
all right.
series.
I thought you were going to say
Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett.
Paul Dini's over at Marvel now. So.
Yeah, no. Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett. This was kind of put together, again, to extend the narrative and give some background. Not really necessary in this case, but if you take it separate from The Killing Joke, it's a decent little Batman tale. Okay, so the story focuses around Batman and Batgirl investigating movements in organized crime families. There's some good action to it. The big sticking point in this additional material to this is that there is a air finger quotes sex scene between Batman and Batgirl.
Mm-hmm. Because we needed that.
Yeah, it's not.
The world's been dying for that.
It's not absolutely necessary. I don't have as much the problem with it that everyone has, because this is something they've alluded to a lot in the previous animated series incarnations.
That doesn't mean it's good.
I know.
Doesn't mean you draw from that material.
I understand why people are not happy about it being in there. It's not.
Captain America was a werewolf once. That doesn't mean we're going to put it into a story now.
Dude, I would totally read that story.
Oh.
Yeah, it's over and done. I think up until the point of that scene, Batgirl is being accurately portrayed. After that scene, they kind of lose the character a little bit.
Okay. Let me interject a moment. Killing Joke is a good story. The biggest criticism leveled at it is that Batgirl is treated terribly in it. I mean, the comic book. Okay, not. Let's put the prologue aside. I'm talking about the core story, and that's a very valid criticism.
She's barely in it.
And when she is in it, what does she do?
She gets shot.
She gets shot, and she gets basically raped by the Joker, just so they can service the narrative between Batman and the Joker. It's terrible. It's horrible. You know the comic book term "women in refrigerators"? Perhaps you've heard of that, where women in comics are basically just objects that get maimed or killed to further the means of the men in the books. It's a trope for a reason, because it happens all the time.
Okay.
Because women in comics are often reduced to this role. They are there to suffer just to push along the story for the male protagonist or whatever. And unfortunately, I mean, and just in the name of equality and being fair and balanced here, Marvel's as guilty. Matt Murdock's many loves, no spoilers, but let me just assure you, suffer this fate where they are put through the ringer in service to the story about Matt and his villains. So they have no real agency. They have no real. They're a prop.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's messed up.
I agree.
And the biggest criticism of The Killing Joke is that Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, was just there as a prop to further the story, and then she's forgotten as soon as she gets shot and Batman sees her, and, after that, she's gone. She's out of the picture. Now, some people will say, well, good came out of it because she became Oracle and awesome after that. That happened in spite of what happened to her. It was a fix of a horrible mistake that was made. And again, context matters here. When Alan Moore asked if he could do it, Len Wein, the editor of The Killing Joke, quote, said, cripple the bitch. These are the people that are creating these stories. This is the context we're talking about. Boy, how progressive and even-handed of you, Len. Good job. And ironically, Len Wein, I actually do like his work, so that kind of pains me to say that. That's messed. I've read good stuff from Len Wein, so that's a terrible, terrible job, Len. Okay, so that's your setup for The Killing Joke, where the biggest criticism leveled at is that Barbara Gordon is objectified and just a means to an end for Batman. Saying that you're going to put a first act on the story in the animated version to give her more to do. Not more to do. I hate that's reducing it. But then you know what? Screw it. Let's give her more to do to kind of make it look like we're, progressive and stuff. So what is she? What is she in this prologue? She pines for Batman. So again, she's in service to Batman. It is again objectifying her. She has no real agency. Is she? I haven't seen the movie. I assume that she's treated well and capable as a crime fighter, but yes. Batman tells her no, and instead of either rejecting him or whatever, they bone. Like what? Because why would that happen? That's ridiculous on a number of levels. But again, it just puts her in the shadow of Batman, and it makes her less of a character. Also, let's point out how creepy and weird it is. Number one, that she would lust after the guy. Number two, that he would go through with this act. This is the guy who is the head of the family, if you will, the head of the Bat family. He's the big kingpin. He's the father of Robin, Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne, Jason Todd, rest in peace. He's dead to me. Barbara Gordon, the Bat family. And they are all kind of like his kids. Batman is also friends with Jim Gordon, his partner. They're like this. I'm crossing my fingers right now. Jim Gordon and Batman are partners in the whole endeavor. So he's gonna go ahead and he's like the uncle. He's like Uncle Bruce. No. Let's consummate here on the rooftop here. I'm not buying it, and I'm sorry. I think it just takes the negative aspect of The Killing Joke and doubles down on it. And then then when someone calls them on it at the and again this all happened, folks. When someone called them on that at the panel at Comic-Con, Brian Azzarello, the writer, called language on this show, folks. I'm sorry. He called the guy who asked the question a pussy because he asked if that was fair and if that was right. And look, man, you got to do a better job. That's all I'm saying. No, you got to do a better job.
I'm not saying your perspective is wrong. I think you raised some very valid points. We don't necessarily see eye to eye on the context of Barbara in the comic book itself, but you're voicing an opinion shared by many as far as this animated treatment of the character.
No, even in the book, the book criticism is very valid. It's been leveled at it for years.
I didn't say it wasn't valid. I'm just saying we don't see eye to eye on it.
Fair enough.
As in the same way we don't see eye to eye on the end of the book.
Yeah, well, hang on. Hang on.
That's we're running kind of long here.
We're running long, but
again, for another episode.
That ending can go either way. That's all I'm going to say.
But now we get into the actual part of the animated film that is based on the book itself.
I've heard all that is great.
It's good. It kind of lacks the emotional punch of the book, only because the animation style is like kind of a little more detailed version of the classic animated series style.
Yeah, Boland's work is
Boland's art is so detailed and just beautiful to look at.
He's that dude can draw.
And yeah, the emotion in that story is conveyed through the artwork.
Very much. Very, very much.
Where in The Dark Knight Returns, in my opinion, the emotion is conveyed through the words. Not to say the artwork in Dark Knight Returns is bad, just say that with Killing Joke, it's more through the artwork than it is the words, even though obviously the words are an important part.
Sure.
But yeah, the Killing Joke part of it was okay, except for a brief musical number that kind of took me out of the story for a bit. But yeah, it kind of lacked the emotional punch. So I would have liked to seen them do this as like Batman, the Killing Joke, and other tales. Just do the Killing Joke as like a 45-minute piece, and then do like one or two shorter stories.
Sure. Okay.
After that, like the Ego story that Darwin Cook did with Paul Dini some years back. That's a very short story. You could have done that. So yeah, it was good, but still a kind of a disappointment for what I was expecting.
Okay. Do a better job, Warner Brothers. That's my. I guess that's
the message of the show.
That's my message. Do a better job. Because unfortunately, I think anyway that they have more of a bad rep in this area than their distinguished competition at Marvel.
Yes. Distinguished competition.
Yeah, I see what I did there. And I think that they have a history of it, and I think they need to. They got whatever is going on over there. They got to change it because it's just. You got to do a better job. You just got to. Maybe Wonder Woman, as I say this, will be the catalyst
Wonder
for
Woman
change.
Will be the movie that turns the tide.
I hope so, and company wide.
Yeah,
I hope.
And again,
so.
We want these movies to be good.
I want all of it to be good.
We want them to be good.
More the merrier.
All right. So,
can we crush an episode recap in like 15 minutes? That is the question.
Probably not, but yeah, it's all right. I apologize, dear listener. The length of this episode is my fault.
Notes
are being taken out. Okay,
but we can do it. Maybe we can. Maybe we can.
Daredevil episode 4, titled "World on Fire," which is also the title of a Sarah McLachlan song.
I did not know that.
I like Sarah McLachlan.
I know she makes me sad when her commercials come on TV.
Oh, God, I can't watch those commercials.
I know.
Those like SPCA commercials.
Yes. You know me, dude.
Oh, geez, we're all about dogs.
You show me a suffering animal, I will break down.
Oh, God, change the channel quick.
Yep.
Yeah, damn those things. Okay.
She's like, hi, I'm Sarah McLachlan, and I'm about to ruin your day. Damn it, Sarah.
And that song she did for Toy Story 2.
Oh, boy.
If you can get through that song without opening your wrists, you've got something good going for you.
All right, we're going to open up in the bathroom, and Claire gets out of the shower.
Yep.
And she's looking in the mirror, and she's all banged up a little bit. And as I note, I still think you look good, Claire.
Exactly. She,
Sorry.
She wears bruises well. That sounds weird, but it's meant as a compliment.
Oh, Lord. Said the Warner Brothers DC guy over there.
Maybe. Hey, now. Hey.
I kid.
Maybe at that part. Okay, so Claire comes out of the bathroom. We see that she is actually at Matt's place.
Yeah. So did they?
Well, the Russians know where she is, so she's got to have a place to hang out. So why can't she hang out at Matt's place? Because she know Matt's, the man in black.
Matt. But he does go over her wounds, actually. And
yes,
this is an interesting bit of exposition because he's taking care of her now. She's been assaulted by the Russians. And we get more insight into Matt's powers.
We get a first really full, in-depth explanation and visualization.
And I think the only visualization this season.
Yes.
Could be wrong, but I think so.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. Of Matt's powers.
So he can hear the fractures in her bones. Yes. He can taste copper from blood in the air. And immediately you're like, my God, this guy can hear heartbeats. He can taste changes in the air pressure. And he explains to her how he can see without seeing.
He says all kinds to come together to form an image.
Right.
She asks, what does the image look like? And then we see the image, and he says, a world on fire. And it does look
title
like
of the episode.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like a very flame.
Very
outline.
different than the movie.
Do you think, I had a question written down here, do you think the series should have done more of this? More visualization of his powers?
I feel like it should do it only if it's pertinent to the plot. That's a weird thing to say.
No, I get what you're saying.
Like if Matt needs to, if there's something that no one else can see in the room, but it's relevant information, maybe to do it. But I actually like that it's done sparingly. I don't necessarily need to see it all the time, because the show does such a great job of showing him utilizing his powers in other ways subtly without holding your hand. I don't necessarily need to see it all the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then after some conversation back and forth, we have our first kiss.
Matt, you hound.
Oh.
Man, what did I say last week? Like a record.
Yep. So Claire brings up the contradiction of lawyer by day, vigilante by night. I thought that was kind of interesting. Takes a little bit of a jab at Batman, asking if he was a billionaire playboy. Wonder if she kind of lucked out. Thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, the first kiss, clearly the tension's been brewing between them for a couple episodes now, and this was not unexpected.
No, not necessarily.
But it doesn't really go very much beyond that for the time being. We get into that later in the episode.
But she does say that she heard a name from the Russians, that being Vladimir. So we then cut to Vladimir, right?
Well, really quickly, Matt talks about going after Fisk before she mentions Vladimir. And Matt said, if I can cut off the head of the snake, the body will die. Here's my question.
Yeah.
Does that ever work?
Well,
I'm not talking about like literally cutting off. Clearly, if you cut off the head of a snake, snake's going to die.
I think what Matt is failing to take into account here is consequences of that.
Yeah.
Fallout.
It's like killing Osama bin Laden and expecting it's going to end all terrorism. And that's just not realistic.
No.
So, yeah.
But Matt's new at this.
Matt is new at this. So, as you mentioned, we cut to Vladimir.
Now, Fisk's offer to take care of the Man in Black has been accepted, as we find out.
And we see Vladimir's kind of falling in line a little bit because he's about to say Mr. Fisk, but then he stops himself and says,
"Correct,
your employer."
Right. He's fallen in line, and Wesley is playing coy and says, "Where's your brother? I don't know.
See your brother.
Haven't seen him." Obviously, the death has been pinned on Daredevil.
Yes. One of his cronies comes in and says that they found him. They bring Vladimir to his brother's body, the not Willem Dafoe brother.
That's correct.
And they find a black mask in his jacket.
It's convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, Wesley's like, he's sending a message.
Oh, convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about this whole...
I think this is a great episode, but that part...
No, the episode was good. That part, I was just like, really? You're putting a mask in there?
It's a weak setup. It's a little weak.
Yeah.
If they didn't think to say, like, he's sending a message, I would have been like, that's dumb, but we'll give it to you.
Yeah. So Vladimir is understandably upset and tells everyone to get out on the streets, find the Man in Black, bring him to me.
Yeah. Now, they are hosing down the truck. We cut to a cleaning shop or vehicles. They're hosing down the brain and skull from the truck.
Yeah.
And as I am noting, as this show is making me do for some reason, I just had a note, another Pulp Fiction note. To be fair, Jimmy and Jules had a much harder time cleaning up their car than they have here.
They did. At the same time, they weren't as neat about.
No, it was a quick and dirty job, and it was also the full interior of the car, whereas this is the exterior mostly, so it's easy to hose down. Now, Fisk shows up, and all the gang heads are there. So being Madame Gao, Owsley...
Fisk meeting with the crime families.
Right. Now, he confesses to the gangs that he took the dude's head off. They are not happy about it.
Yeah.
Especially Leland Owsley. He's so cranky.
He really is.
All he does is complain. Interesting note here. He takes full responsibility, but he says that he's going to, the Russians are out.
We're going to do this anyway at some point.
Russians are out. Everyone's going to get equal share now. Well, one more share, basically, is going to be split amongst all of us.
Madame Gao was vocal about this as well, I noticed.
Well, the Russians were trafficking her product. Yeah. They own the cabs that distributed the heroin. So now that they're done, she has a lot at stake. Fisk assures her that in the meantime, they're still going to do it, but once they're done, once they're out, Fisk has taken it over, and she's not going to miss... Business is not going to miss a beat. Also, I should note that in this scene, Fisk and the Japanese guy, was that?
Yeah, Nobu.
They allude to a previous agreement.
They kind of start laying the groundwork for what we see later.
Uh-huh.
A little bit in this season.
Little, but next
and
season.
Then next season,
yes.
Major.
Spoilers. And then also with Fisk and Madame Gao. They clearly have a history of some kind.
They go into, and obviously we find out a little bit more later in the season, but Fisk seems to have a respect for Gao that supersedes his respect for Nobu and Leland.
No one respects Leland.
Well, no, because Leland's a cranky old miser. But you kind of see in the scene where the pecking order is from Wilson's perspective of the crime family.
Yeah. Now, we cut back to the alleyway, the cab.
Yeah, great cinematography in this scene.
The spinning inside the cab.
Spinning camera inside the cab. Yeah.
I wonder, now much like, I'm sorry, but the fight scene is awesome as it was in the hallway. One shot, but I know that they cheated a couple parts. Sorry, a film nerd. I wonder if they cheated anything in that revolving camera shot inside the cab. It was really well done.
Yeah,
it was very
not being
cool.
a film nerd, it doesn't seem like they did. But yeah, basically you're inside the cab for the whole time. There's a blind courier from Madame Gao. The Russians go in. The camera pans over. You see Matt. Russians
and then
come out.
Action happens.
Yeah,
and then
the jiggling.
Matt, I have to say, man, very reckless here. That poor blind guy in the cab, dude. He gets him shot in the head.
Yeah.
And now we're again Pulp Fiction. Shot in the head in the car.
Shot him off in the face. Oh man.
I don't know what happened. Must have hit a bump or something. The gun just went off. Oh my god! Don't get me started, please.
Yeah. We could do a whole podcast just on Pulp Fiction.
Then the cops show up conveniently after Matt beats some info out of some Russian gentleman.
Yeah, Matt is looking at this point now is looking for Vladimir.
Right.
Vladimir, the guy that Matt's beating up, says, coincidence, we're looking for you too.
Mm-hmm.
You killed Vlad's brother.
Then the cops arrive.
Yeah.
And we have a parkour escape. He parkours up the wall.
Runny, flippy, jumpy. I'm okay with parkour because it's kind of like, I know it's kind of becoming an overused trope in action films, but
it's practical. It works.
Yeah, it works. It gives us a sense of stuff we've seen in comics all the time and how it might actually work.
For Daredevil, it works very well because he's a regular guy.
Yeah, without switching to like a CGI character or something like that.
Then Senior Foggy.
We're at Nelson and Murdoch. Warm home. Nelson and Murdoch's offices are. It conveys, at least to me, conveys a sense of warmth and welcoming.
Sure.
No, they're like,
that's their gimmick.
When, like, we flash forward later in the episode, we're at Landman and Zach, very cold.
Oh, sure. Corporate.
Business. Yeah. So we're introduced to Mrs. Cardenas.
And her landlord is trying to force her out and strong arm her out, slumlord, yada yada. So as it turns out, the landlord is being repped by Matt and Foggy's old firm. They agree to take this woman's case, by the way, so they're gonna stick up for her and try and get things back under control at her apartment building. Now
we see one thing I noticed here, which is funny. I think they did this episode. We see a quick flirtation between Matt and Karen.
Matt and Karen?
Yes, when Miss Cardenas is speaking in Spanish.
Yes.
And Karen kind of can interpret her, but Matt fires in. It's clear that Matt is fluent in Spanish. And Karen's like, well, would you like to do the interpretation or whatnot? And Matt's just it's very quick, and they move on in scene. He's like, no, I like the sound of your voice.
Matt.
And then she gives a little look, and I'm just like, Matt, you're not good at relationships.
Or he's really good at them.
No. See, that's the thing. I don't think it's that he's necessarily a player per se. I just don't think he's good at relationships.
Well, he's lying to his best friend and his secretary. He's leading a double life, so relationships do seem to be a little
I don't think he's
strained.
Good at romantic
and spoilers given his history with these sort of things.
So next we find Matt goes to the police station to find some information on the slumlord and get some information from the cops.
Now, while we're there, we meet the Russian who was arrested in the alleyway.
Yeah, when Matt beat him up, cops took him away.
And he says the name Wilson Fisk and says he's going to give him up for a deal. Well, Spoiler alert, folks. The
Fisk.
cops are dirty. Fisk has a long reach.
I like the little exchange between the two cops. All right, whose turn is it? Is it your turn?
No.
That's it.
I went last time.
You did it for that thing, and that was. Oh, dang, that's right. Okay, fine, it's my turn. And then they do a whole stage. He's going for my gun.
Yep. And then they shoot him.
And then they shoot him. And they say you shouldn't have said his name.
Yep.
And then just shoot him. And Matt hears everything that's going on.
But he can't do anything about it.
He can't. He moves to act, but by the time he realizes what's going to happen and moves to act,
Too late.
It's done.
Yep.
Very done.
Now we are, after that, we go to the big bad law firm.
Yeah.
Where Matt
and Zach, which is going to appear in a future Marvel Netflix series.
There you go. So Foggy and Karen go to meet with the representative for the slumlord, and sup, Marcy?
Marcy!
What's up, Marcy?
Now, you see Foggy, and we've discussed the kind of person Foggy is.
Yeah.
He's the likable sidekick guy to, the alpha male in the room.
Right. Well, Marcy tries to strong arm him.
Yeah, Marcy appears to be like a woman who was a captain of the cheerleading squad in high school.
Yeah, but she's a shark lawyer, too, though.
Yeah, very attractive, very intelligent, busty blonde, whatnot.
And turns out her and Foggy have a history.
A little bit, but we'll get to that in a second. Foggy proves, again, that he's not just, the lovable sidekick. Foggy is an adept lawyer.
Yep.
He's good at what he does.
Yep.
Because he just kind of verbally beats up Marcy.
Tears into her, man.
After she threatens him, saying this case will never go anywhere. You don't need to represent this person. Just get him to take the payout.
Yep.
I like how they give Foggy these little moments where we can see that he is a serious character in a serious profession.
Yes, he is.
And he knows what he's doing.
He sure does. And when he verbally basically demolishes Marcy, my notes here, and I believe you will concur, Marcy, sploosh.
Marcy,
I don't think Marcy's seen that side of Foggy before, and she liked it.
Maybe a little bit of Karen, too, because they both kind of seemed like it was a good moment for Foggy.
Oh, it was a good moment.
Yeah, Marcy was definitely in heat for Foggy.
The temperature and the humidity rose, my friend.
Yes. So then we cut to Foggy and Carrie going to help Miss Cardenas at her apartment.
It's a noble fight, but after seeing it, lady, move. Just move.
Yeah.
Know when to cut bait.
I get it. I get someone wanting to stay in a place that's been their home for probably a good long time.
Home is home. I feel you.
Yeah, I get that. Then we find out that Foggy and Karen are apparently
Handy.
carpenters and electricians and plumbers.
Well, they know people.
Yeah, they know people. They're calling in kind of the resources to get them.
Let's get
these
the place up
people
to
back
snuff.
on their feet.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not just lawyers. They're friendly lawyers.
Yep.
They'll fix your house.
Exactly. Now we find the cop who shot the Russian stepping outside to answer his phone, and Matt shows up and questions him quite intently about Fisk.
Yes. Gets that info, and the cop doesn't give up much, though.
No.
But Matt does take his phone.
Yes.
After kicking him in the face.
And breaking his leg.
Yes.
Apparently.
Correct.
Or at least a very bad hyperextension.
Matt knows how to inflict pain. Now we go to
Wilson and Vanessa, part 2.
Part 2, and as I note here, sup, Vanessa?
Vanessa is a very attractive woman.
In
Very
HD, mind you, she's got a little bounce on her, man. was this produced by SNK? Is this Art of Fighting? I'm sorry to say that. Anyway. Sup, Vanessa? And I think Fisk is very taken with Vanessa. Very taken with Vanessa.
It's very clear that he's... Because, like you said, he doesn't do this a lot, and he strikes you as a character who does not... Who literally not only does not do that a lot, but he doesn't fill his bed with, prostitutes or
that we know
something
of,
like that.
But it doesn't seem like he would.
Yeah. He just seems very awkward around women, and he feels comfortable opening up to Vanessa.
Yeah, I have some notes about that later. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, they're in they're in like a restaurant that
he bought out the whole place.
Bought out the whole place
because he wants to be alone.
Yep. So we flash out of that. We'll come back to that. And we see one of our old favorite characters.
Turk. Oh, also, I have a note. The Vladimir is washing his brother's corpse, his headless brother's corpse. Dude, look, I know there's dignity involved in everything, but there's also practicality to be considered. The man has no head. That little cloth he's using, that bloody cloth, that ain't going to work, man. You just hose him down.
Maybe it's like a ShamWow.
Dude, even a ShamWow in this instance here is not going to work. I understand he's your bro, but, man, just hose him down.
Yeah.
Anyway, Turk is ratting out Fisk, yo.
Turk is
playing the angles.
Yeah.
So we think.
Turk wants to get that money.
So the Russians want to go to war.
Yeah, and they want to find where Fisk is.
Yep.
So Vladimir tells Turk to put the word out on the street, $1 million for anyone who can tell me where Fisk is.
Yep. Now we cut to Matt and Matt's apartment, and he hands the cell phone to Claire, who tells him what's on. It's got to be a pain for Matt with cell phone. The cell phone age, man.
He can't read the screen for obvious reasons. Claire's going through the cell phone, giving him what little information is on it, and then
addresses.
And then Matt is all ready to go back out and do that Daredevil thing when Claire's like, but wait, why?
Because
he has to. This is what he has resolved his life to be.
Correct.
This is the decision he has made. Matt, obviously you can compare him to another character we were discussing earlier, Batman. Batman has resolved that is what his life is. That is the only thing that matters. That is what is.
Yes.
Whereas Matt kind of tries to have his cake and eat it too.
He does.
He wants to be able to pursue his life as what will eventually be Daredevil. But at the same time, he also believes he can have normal life with normal relationships. And for the first time, we see Daredevil coming between Matt and a woman.
Yep. And it won't be the last time.
Yeah. It's kind of like that old classic shot that's been used in Spider-Man comic a bunch of times. Like you see Peter walking away from a woman and like a faded Spider-Man standing between them with his arms outstretched, pushing them away from each other. So yeah, what would have been a relationship between Claire and Matt is squashed in this scene and done away with.
For now.
Yeah.
Don't put it past Matt to come back around.
Then we're back at...
We're back in the restaurant. Now, Vanessa is being very honest with Fisk here. She relays that she has been with a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
Because they find her attractive, obviously, and she's an art dealer and money, power. She's been with powerful guys. Wilson is very perturbed at this. Look, Wilson, buddy, they can't all be angels, buddy. I hate to tell you.
There was a line. A little bit of fan service I took out of here.
Me too.
Really funny.
Ascot?
The Ascot. So Vanessa mentioned the guy that she's talking about in this particular scene who, tried to seduce her.
Yeah, she stopped with anyway.
Said he was wearing an ascot.
And Wilson remarks that it's...
Ascot's a bit much, isn't it?
Much. Folks, spoiler alert. In the comics, the Kingpin has been known for many decades to be an ascot man.
Yeah, not so much anymore.
No.
He's suit and tie guy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Look up Kingpin comic book design online.
Did John Rhys Davies wear an ascot?
No.
Damn it.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to find out when we review that for the show, which is going to happen.
All right. We're on Ascot watch. So he's a little uncomfortable about her past, but you know what? Like I said, man, especially when you get older, my God. Look, dude.
We are both fortunate to be married to wonderful women, but I've known some friends of mine who have had to be out there, to use the modern parlance. It's not fun.
Hey, man, at this age, people have seen some action. You're not going to find the one person that's been hiding in the closet chaste for 40 years. It's very unlikely. Although I have a feeling that Wilson might be that guy. Just putting that out there.
Quite possibly.
Just putting that out there.
Another note I have from the scene, this is the second time Wilson motions to his cufflinks.
Which are talked about. They are his father's.
Yeah. He mentions
he wears them every day.
Wears them every day, and we're going to learn very much about his father in an upcoming episode.
Yep. Big time.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Fisk knows that Vanessa has a gun in her purse. And she tells him, do I need it?
Yeah.
And he basically says, no, as long as you're with me, you're safe.
Yeah, Vanessa's like, do you think me... She says something to the effect of, do you think me stupid enough to come here with you and not know
she knows
the type of person
yeah.
that you are, the type of business you do? She's basically saying, listen, I know you're a criminal.
Yep.
I know you're mafia or whatever.
Yep. But that don't mean...
Yeah, she's drawn to him.
She's very drawn to him.
She also understands, got to be safe.
Yes. Now, Fisk goes off and says, all this stuff about he doesn't like being, what he is, and he doesn't like inflicting pain on people, and it's all a means to an end, and yada, yada. He might believe that, but I don't believe it.
He kind of bears his soul for himself and his vision for the city in this
sure.
scene, and... Yeah, you kind of got to ask yourself, is Fisk being 100% honest here?
I think he thinks he is, but deep down, that dude likes inflicting pain. That's how he gets to that position.
And we see in that episode that we mentioned that's coming up when they give us Fisk's background, why he may like inflicting that pain.
Sure. Yep,
so,
big time.
Yeah, but this is another one of those scenes that kind of develops Fisk more, gives us more insight into Fisk.
Sorry, I'm reading my note for the next scene where Foggy declares to Karen that Matt dates a lot. Ha! You have no idea.
Really quickly, before we get to that, I've got a note here, my last note for the date scene. She gives over the gun to him. My note is, Vanessa surrenders more than the gun. In this motion, I think, she's not just giving up the gun to him. She's giving up her fear of him.
Yes.
To him.
It's symbolic.
Yeah, she's saying, listen, I was afraid of you when I walked in. I'm not afraid of you anymore.
Yep. Now, we go to the dinner, basically, at the old lady's house.
Poor Foggy.
And,
poor Foggy.
Well, it's a little weird here because they talk about Matt. So he's got a thing for Karen. She's got a thing for him, kind of, but she's also trying to, I don't know, she's prying for Matt, too.
They set up earlier in a very quick scene flashback that we kind of skipped over that Miss Cardenas is trying to set them up on a date.
Yeah.
And Foggy is all for that. I think Foggy, up to a point in this, is doing fairly well. And it looks like, to a point, that Karen is, like, not full-blown, but she's reciprocating in some manner. But as you mentioned, the conversation gets to Matt.
Yeah, see, and then they do the face feeling. Like,
that's so weird.
And I have notes in here, and I can't say it because we keep this show clean, but... What are you doing, Karen? What are you doing to poor Foggy here? This is messed up. Don't do that to the guy.
Karen is like using
tone deaf.
Foggy to role play as Matt.
Yeah, it's a little...
I didn't like this scene for the character of Karen.
Well, it's fine. It's just I feel like they've set up more flirtation between her and Foggy at the moment than her and Matt. So her playing both ends right now it's a little soon.
Yeah, it kind of hurts her character a little bit as like a likable person.
Totally. Oh yeah. It puts a little chink in the armor here, but what whatever. It's okay. So we're going to war. The Russians are ready for war. But as they're loading up their guns and stuff, and they're all getting amped up and ready to go, Madame Gao's heroin dude comes over.
Yeah.
Goes into the room, goes into the building, and then he... I'm sorry, go on.
As he goes into the building, Matt also shows up at the same time and gets into a fight with the dude out front. This dude got a little skill to him, so he's giving Matt a bit of a problem.
Well, it's not going to matter in a second.
But, as you were saying...
the dude explodes.
He exploded.
He blows up the entire building. Boom.
Goes the dynamite.
Lucky Matt was outside and not hit by the blast directly, although he is under some rubble and a Russian fellow when he wakes up.
Yeah, he used the Russian as a shield to the door that was hurled at him by the explosion.
But spoilers, it's not just that building, because then another building blows up.
Yes.
Remember those addresses we talked about?
Yes, the addresses from the phone.
Well, all those buildings blow up.
Yeah.
Note for you, this scene, particularly when, I have comments here, when Vanessa and Fisk are overlooking the city, or at least that portion of it now blowing up.
Yeah.
Give you a little Devil's Night Crow feeling? Did it? Little bit.
Quick background to your listeners. Among the many things that Drew and I are big fans of, J.O. Barr's The Crow, both the comic book and the film. We are huge fans.
Good stuff.
It was kind of my catcher in the rye back in high school.
Yeah, I saw it many times.
Anyone who went to high school with me could tell you, dude liked The Crow.
And a great soundtrack, too.
So good.
And now, as I will note here, as these buildings are blowing up, including the building right next to Foggy and Karen's client building.
Yes.
So they're kind of sort of injured in this attack. Fisk and Vanessa are overlooking the carnage.
Vanessa sees Fisk's power on display.
Yes, she does. And as I have a note here for the second time in this episode, sploosh.
It's, you know what? I don't think it's as much that.
Oh, I do.
I think that, like, Vanessa, because Fisk gives an explanation that is not 100% honest, but also not 100% false either. And Fisk is like, did you hear the story about the little boy that was, kidnapped by the Russians from his father and so on and so forth? Those are the people
yes.
in those buildings are the people who did that. And Vanessa kind of has a moment, at least from my interpretation of it, she has a moment
paused.
where she kind of gives in to that voice that all of us have, that whether, and not to make this political or anything, but, capital punishment, whether you agree with her or not, she kind of gives in that darker side of herself, saying, good.
Yep. And again, sploosh.
Yeah, she gives in that, and she gives in this is, I think, kind of the last act that Fisk does that fully wins her over.
She likes power, man. Anyway, so Turk is working some angles here, as we find out.
Turk gets a payday. Good old Turk.
That whole ratting out Fisk thing. He was supposed to do that.
He was set up. Wesley gives him that fat cash.
That's right. Someday, Turk. Someday, Turk, you're going to have your moment in the sun. If the Bendis run in the comics has taught me anything, it's that Turk will get his chance, and I got bad news. It doesn't go well.
He's a bad guy, but you know what? He's the lovable bad guy.
He is a lovable bad guy, which is
like
weird.
To see him do well, because you know what? Does he ever directly try to hurt anyone?
Well, he did. He had the taser with the women in the first episode.
Yeah.
In the shipping container.
Yeah.
But he's somehow lovable.
He was going to give him a bucket.
True.
That's a caring soul right there.
As much as a caring soul a criminal can be in this instance, sure. Something about Turk is lovable, though. It's really strange.
It really is. So, Vlad survived the explosion.
Yeah, he's running away. Matt's not going to let that happen, though.
Yeah, Matt tracks him down, lets the devil loose on him for a little bit. The Rise is about to kind of give him the final knockout punch. The cops show up. Matt puts his hands in the air. Episode ends.
That's it. To be continued. And no flashbacks this episode.
Right.
Is that a first?
That's
a first.
Yes.
Yeah, first episode without a flashback.
Wow.
Took him 5 episodes.
Good catch, sir.
I try.
So what'd you think? Any parting thoughts on the episode?
I actually, in reviewing this episode, I like this one a lot. It's really good.
Yeah.
To be honest, the Fisk Vanessa stuff is the best stuff in it.
Yeah.
You get a lot of really good character moments between the two. You see them kind of come together. You get a lot of background on Fisk and his motivations and the kind of person he is and his machinations being, put into play. Good episode from that perspective, from a character development standpoint.
It seems that Matt's character development has kind of momentarily plateaued.
Well, he's on a mission. Right now he's got one focus.
We kind of know who Matt is and what he's doing, so on and so forth. But the character developments of those characters around him, Fisk, Vanessa, Foggy, Karen, continues to be that unexpected surprise of the show for a first time viewing. The show's called Daredevil, but we're getting a lot of really great characters that are getting flushed out.
That's the beauty of having a television show, is that you can do that. You have time to expand all this stuff and really get into the relationships and how it works, and you get invested. Whereas a movie, you got 2 hours or so to kind of make it all work. And like Batman versus Superman had about a zillion elements they had to introduce and make jibe, and it didn't work. So Daredevil's got 14 episodes to kind of get all this stuff put into play, and they do a great job of doing that. You get to spend a little time with everybody and understand everyone's motivations, so that when the payoffs happen, they're really satisfying and they're really good.
Awesome, I agree. Any closing thoughts on our episode here?
This one is
another bigger one, but
so much.
I haven't heard any complaints from the listeners yet.
Okay.
But, dear listeners, if you do want to complain,
please do. Lord knows I would.
If you want to complain, if you want to ask us questions that we can read on the air, if you want to just communicate with us, we will communicate back to you. You can follow us on Twitter at Devils Due Pod. You can search The Devils Due on Facebook or facebook.com/Devils Due. Or you can email us your questions, which we'll get right on the air, whether they be about the show or a personal matter. But not too personal, because, Post-it notes, that's not something the gentleman discusses in polite society. You can email us at thedevilsduepod@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Court's adjourned. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Carl, I could change. If I could change, you could change. Everyone could change. He's in Guardians. Come on. You gotta give it to me here.
Okay, yes. Sylvester Stallone is officially in the Marvel Universe, but he is not in Daredevil, which, contrary to everything else on this show is about Daredevil.
The first half begs to differ today, but Court's turn. Court's turn.